I found my husband's hidden journal while cleaning our bedroom. What I read on those pages about my best friend made me physically sick. He documented everything, every lie, every secret meeting, every moment of their affair. And I had been completely blind to it all. My name is Sarah, and I'm 30 years old. Up until 6 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. I'd been married to my husband, David, for 5 years. We met in college, dated for 3 years, and got married when we were both 25. He was my best friend, my partner, and the person I trusted more than anyone in the world. Well, almost anyone. Because I also had Jessica. She was my best friend since high school. We'd been inseparable for over 12 years. She was my maid of honor at my wedding. She was the first person I called with good news or bad. She knew everything about me, and I thought I knew everything about her. We lived in a nice apartment in downtown Chicago. David worked as a financial analyst at a corporate firm, and I was a marketing coordinator for a tech startup. Jessica worked in real estate and had her own successful career going. Our lives seemed to be running parallel. All of us doing well, all of us happy. Or so I thought. Looking back now, I can see the signs I missed, the little things that didn't add up. But when you trust people completely, you don't look for red flags. You give them the benefit of the doubt. You believe their explanations. That trust almost destroyed me. It was a Saturday in March, one of those early spring days where the weather can't decide if it wants to be winter or summer. David had told me he was going to the gym and then meeting some college buddies for lunch. He'd be gone most of the afternoon. I decided to do some deep cleaning. We'd been talking about redecorating the bedroom, and I wanted to clear out some space and see what we were working with. I started moving furniture, reorganizing the closet, pulling out drawers to dust behind them. That's when I found it. Behind our heavy wooden dresser, wedged between the dresser and the wall, was a small leather journal. It was brown, worn at the edges, about the size of a standard notebook. At first, I thought maybe it was something from David's college days that had fallen back there years ago. But when I opened it, the first date I saw was from 8 months ago. My heart started pounding. I knew I shouldn't read it. Journals are private, personal. But something in my gut told me I needed to see what was inside. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was all those tiny inconsistencies I'd been ignoring finally adding up to suspicion. I sat down on our bedroom floor, my back against the bed, and I started reading. The first entry was dated August 15th, 8 months before that day. It said, "Saw Jay today at the coffee shop near my office. We talked for over an hour. I forgot how easy it is to talk to her. Sarah was working late again, so Jay and I grabbed dinner. Nothing happened, but I couldn't stop thinking about her smile. Jessica. My Jessica." My hands started shaking, but I kept reading. The entries continued, and with each page, my world fell apart a little more. August 22nd. Met Jay for coffee again. This is becoming our thing. She gets me in a way Sarah doesn't anymore. We talked about our dreams, our frustrations. When I'm with Jay, I feel like the person I used to be. August 30th. Jay texted me during my meeting. Just thinking about her makes me smile. I know this is wrong, but I can't help how I feel. Sarah has been so focused on her promotion, she barely notices I'm there anymore. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't stop reading. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. Horrifying but impossible to look away from. September 5th. Things are getting complicated. Jay and I met at that wine bar downtown. We were there for 3 hours. At the end of the night, when we were saying goodbye in the parking lot, we kissed. It wasn't planned. It just happened. I know I should feel guilty, but all I feel is alive. I remember that night. I remember it perfectly. David came home around 11 o'clock and said he'd been out with his friend Mike. They'd gone to watch a game at a sports bar. He seemed normal, happy even. He kissed me goodnight and went to sleep. He'd been with Jessica, he'd kissed Jessica, and then he came home and kissed me like nothing had happened. I kept reading through tears that were now streaming down my face. September 12th. Told Sarah I had a work conference this weekend. Jay and I are going to that bed and breakfast upstate. I've never done anything like this before. I know it's wrong, but I've never felt this way about anyone. That weekend. I remembered that weekend too. He'd told me his company was sending him to a leadership retreat in Buffalo. I'd helped him pack. I'd kissed him goodbye and told him I'd miss him. Meanwhile, he was planning a romantic getaway with my best friend. The entries went on and on. September turned into October. October turned into November. Each entry was a new betrayal, a new lie, a new moment they'd stolen while I worked late or visited my parents or thought I was building a life with a man who loved me. November 3rd. Sarah asked me today if something was wrong. She said I seemed distant. I told her I was stressed about work. The truth is, I'm stressed about everything. I love Jay, but I don't know how to leave Sarah. We have a life together, a home, shared friends. How do you blow all that up? So he loved her. He actually loved her. This wasn't just physical attraction or a momentary lapse in judgment. He was in love with my best friend. November 18th. Jay is getting impatient. She wants me to tell Sarah. She says we can't keep living like this. She's right, but I'm a coward. Every time I look at Sarah, I chicken out. She trusts me completely. She has no idea. He was right about one thing. I had no idea. I'd been completely, utterly clueless. December 2nd. Close call today. Sarah wanted to grab lunch, and I was supposed to meet Jay at our usual spot. Had to cancel with Jay last minute. She was upset. I hate disappointing either of them, but I'm trapped. I want to be with Jay, but I don't want to hurt Sarah. I remembered him canceling our lunch that day. He'd texted me saying an emergency meeting came up. I'd been disappointed but understanding. After all, work comes first sometimes, right? Except there was no meeting. There was just Jessica, waiting for him at their usual spot. December 25th. Christmas Day. Spent Christmas with Sarah and her family. Jay texted me all day. It was torture being away from her. Sarah gave me a watch. She said it was because I'm always there for her, always on time, always reliable. I felt like the biggest fraud in the world. I bought him that watch, a Tag Heuer. I'd saved for months to afford it. I'd wanted to give him something special, something that showed how much I appreciated him. He'd seemed so touched when he opened it. He'd hugged me and said it was perfect. And all the while, he was texting Jessica under the table, January 10th. Jay gave me an ultimatum. Tell Sarah by the end of the month or she's done. She says she can't keep being the other woman. I understand, but I need more time. How do you tell your wife that you're in love with her best friend? The end of January had come and gone. It was now March, and he still hadn't told me. Apparently, he'd found a way to convince Jessica to wait a little longer. January 28th. Convinced Jay to give me more time. Told her I need to figure out the financial stuff first. Make sure Sarah will be okay. Truth is, I'm just stalling. I know I'm being selfish, but I can't bring myself to do it. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Took Sarah to that Italian restaurant she loves, bought her roses and chocolate, felt like I was playing a part in a movie. The whole time I was thinking about Jay, wishing I was with her instead. After dinner, Jay sent me a photo of herself. She was alone in her apartment, drinking wine, waiting for me. I told Sarah I had to go into the office early the next morning and couldn't stay up late. I left at 10 p.m. and went to Jay's place. Stayed until 3 a.m. I felt physically ill. That had been the best Valentine's Day we'd had in years, or so I'd thought. He'd been attentive, romantic, sweet. He'd told me he loved me. And then he'd left to go be with her. February 28th. Sarah's been talking about starting a family. She wants to have a baby this year. I don't know what to say. How can I bring a child into this mess? But I also can't tell her the truth. Not yet. I promised Jay I'd tell her soon. I will. I just need the right moment. A baby. We'd been trying for a baby. I'd stopped taking birth control 3 months ago. We'd been actively trying to get pregnant, and he'd been planning to leave me for my best friend. March 7th. Jay is pregnant. I stopped breathing. The room spun. I read the words again, and again, and again. Jay is pregnant. She told me last night. She's 8 weeks along. She wants to keep it. She wants us to be a family. I told her I'd tell Sarah this weekend. I can't put it off anymore. It's time. This weekend. That meant today. That meant he was planning to tell me today. But he wasn't home. He was at the gym, meeting friends for lunch. That's what he'd said. Or was he with Jessica right now, planning how to break the news to me? Planning their future together while I cleaned our apartment, oblivious to the fact that my entire life was about to implode? I looked at my phone. It was 2:30 in the afternoon. David had left at noon. He should be at lunch with his friends. I opened our shared location app. We'd always shared our locations with each other. For safety, we'd said. So we could always find each other if something happened. His location showed him at an address I didn't recognize. I pulled up the address on Google Maps. It was a residential building about 20 minutes away. In a neighborhood where Jessica had mentioned she was looking at apartments a few months ago. He was with her. Right now. While I sat on our bedroom floor, reading about their affair, about their baby, about the life they were planning without me, he was with her. Something inside me broke, not shattered like glass, but broke clean through like a bone snapping. I felt it happen. I felt the moment where the Sarah who trusted blindly became someone else entirely. I stood up. I wiped my tears. I took photos of every single page of that journal with my phone, every entry, every date, every confession. Then I put the journal back exactly where I'd found it, wedged behind the dresser. If he was going to tell me this weekend, he'd do it without knowing I already knew. He'd do it thinking he had control of the narrative. And I was going to let him think that, right up until the moment I took that control away. I called my sister Amy. She lived across town with her husband and 2 kids. Amy, I said when she answered, my voice surprisingly steady. I need to come over right now, and I need you to not ask questions until I get there. To her credit, she just said, "Come." I packed a bag, just essentials. Clothes for a few days, my laptop, important documents. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew I wasn't going to be in that apartment when David came home. Before I left, I did one more thing. I texted Jessica. "Hey, haven't seen you in forever. Want to grab coffee tomorrow? I miss you." She responded within 5 minutes. "Would love to. How about that place near your apartment at 10 a.m.? Perfect. See you then." I wanted to throw my phone across the room. The casualness of her response, like she wasn't carrying my husband's baby, like she wasn't sleeping with my husband, like our 12 years of friendship meant nothing. But I didn't throw my phone. I put it in my purse, grabbed my bag, and walked out of the apartment I'd shared with David for 5 years. When I got to Amy's house, I broke down. I showed her the photos of the journal. I told her everything. She held me while I sobbed. And then, when I was done crying, she got angry on my behalf. "You're not going back there tonight," she said. "You're staying here. And tomorrow, we're going to figure out exactly how you want to handle this." That night, David called me 4 times. I didn't answer. He texted asking where I was, if I was okay. I responded with a simple, "Staying at Amy's tonight. Need some sister time. See you tomorrow." He sent back a heart emoji. A heart emoji. While his pregnant mistress, my best friend, waited for him to leave me. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in Amy's guest room, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the last 8 months. Every time he'd said he was working late. Every time he'd been distant or distracted. Every time Jessica had canceled plans with me at the last minute. The signs had been there. I just hadn't wanted to see them. In August, Jessica had suddenly gotten too busy to see me as often. She'd said work was crazy. I'd believed her. In September, David had started going to the gym more regularly. He'd said he wanted to get in better shape. I'd been proud of him. In October, Jessica had asked me detailed questions about my work schedule. When did I work late? When did I travel? I'd thought she was just being a good friend, staying involved in my life. In November, David had become obsessed with his phone. Password protected, always face down, always with him, even in the shower. He'd said he was getting sensitive work emails and needed to keep his phone secure. I'd accepted that explanation. In December, Jessica had canceled our annual Christmas shopping trip. She'd said she had a family emergency. There was no emergency. She was with my husband. In January, David had suggested we take a break from trying for a baby. He'd said he wanted to make sure we were financially stable first. I'd agreed, thinking he was being responsible. He was actually buying time. In February, Jessica had told me she was seeing someone new but wasn't ready to talk about it yet. She'd said it was complicated. It was complicated because it was my husband. Every lie, every deception, every moment I'd trusted them both, and they'd betrayed that trust. By the time the sun came up, I wasn't sad anymore. I was furious. At 10 o'clock the next morning, I walked into the coffee shop where I was supposed to meet Jessica. She was already there, sitting at a corner table, looking at her phone. She looked up when I walked in and smiled. That same warm, friendly smile she'd given me 1,000 times before, it made my skin crawl. "Sarah," she said, standing up to hug me. "It's so good to see you. It's been way too long." I hugged her back, even though everything in me wanted to pull away. "I know," I said. "We need to do this more often." We sat down. She'd already ordered her usual, a vanilla latte. I ordered a black coffee. I needed to stay sharp. We made small talk for a few minutes. She asked about work. I asked about her real estate business. She asked about David. I asked if she was still seeing that guy she'd mentioned, the one she said was complicated. "Oh yeah," she said, looking down at her coffee. "It's still complicated, but good. Really good, actually." "That's great," I said, my voice sweet as honey. "I'm so happy for you. You deserve someone amazing." She smiled, but there was something in her eyes. Guilt, maybe, or just discomfort at lying to my face. "Actually," I said, pulling out my phone, "I wanted to talk to you about something. I found something yesterday, and I need your advice on what to do." "Of course," she said, leaning forward. "What's going on?" I opened my phone to the photos of the journal. "I found David's journal," I said, "hidden behind our dresser, and I read it." Her face went white, completely white. "Sarah," she started. Let me finish, I said, my voice calm and cold. I read every entry, every single one, from August 15th, when you first had coffee together, all the way to March 7th, when he wrote about you being pregnant with his child. She couldn't speak. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. So here's what's going to happen, I continued. I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're going to answer them honestly. For once in the last 8 months, you're going to tell me the truth. Do you understand? She nodded, tears starting to stream down her face. How long have you been in love with him? She swallowed hard. Since college, she whispered. Since the first time you introduced us. But he chose you, and I tried to get over it. I really did. I dated other people. I moved on. Or I thought I did. And then what happened in August? I ran into him at the coffee shop, she said, her voice shaking. We started talking, and it was like no time had passed. He told me you'd been working a lot, that he felt lonely. I told him I'd just broken up with someone. We started meeting for coffee, just as friends at first. I swear. When did it become more than friends? September, she admitted. We were at that wine bar, and he told me he'd never stopped thinking about what if. What if he'd asked me out first? What if things had been different? And I told him I'd wondered the same thing. And then we kissed, and everything changed. Did you ever think about me? I asked. Even once? Your best friend of 12 years? Did you ever think about what this would do to me? She was crying openly now. Every day, she said. Every single day. I hated myself for it, but I couldn't stop. I love him, Sarah. I know that doesn't excuse anything, but I do. I love him. And the baby? She put her hand on her stomach, a protective gesture. I'm keeping it, she said. I know you probably hate me, and I understand, but I'm keeping my baby. Does he know you're here with me right now? She shook her head. He thinks I'm at a showing. He's planning to tell me today, I said. This weekend, he wrote. That's today. Is that still the plan? She nodded. Tonight? He said he was going to tell you tonight, that he couldn't put it off anymore. I stood up. Thank you for being honest, finally. Sarah, please, she said, reaching for my hand. I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you. I pulled my hand away. But you did hurt me, I said. You both did. And you'll have to live with that. I hope he's worth it, Jessica. I hope your baby is healthy. And I hope you both understand that you didn't just destroy my marriage. You destroyed a 12-year friendship. You destroyed my ability to trust. You destroyed the future I thought I was building. And for what? For him? For a man who lied to his wife every single day for 8 months? For a man who's capable of that level of deception? Good luck with that. I walked out of the coffee shop and didn't look back. I went back to Amy's house and waited. I knew David would call me eventually, wanting to know where I was, when I'd be home. He needed me there, so he could have his big confession moment, his chance to control how this played out. The call came at 4 o'clock. Hey, babe, he said, his voice tense. When are you coming home? I thought we could talk tonight. About what? I asked innocently. Just about us, about our future. There's something I need to discuss with you. I'll be there at 6, I said. See you then. At 6 o'clock, I walked into our apartment. David was sitting on the couch looking nervous. He stood up when I came in. Sarah, he said, thanks for coming home. I know you've been at Amy's and I know about Jessica. I interrupted. His face went pale. What? I found your journal, I said calmly. Yesterday, when I was cleaning, I read all of it, every entry. I know about the affair. I know about the baby. I know everything. He stumbled backward, sitting down hard on the couch. Sarah, I can explain. You can explain 8 months of lying? I asked. You can explain sleeping with my best friend? You can explain getting her pregnant while we were trying to have a baby? I was going to tell you, he said weakly. Tonight. I was going to tell you everything tonight. Only because she gave you an ultimatum, I said. Only because she's pregnant and you couldn't hide it anymore. Not because you felt guilty, not because you wanted to do the right thing, because you got caught. I'm sorry, he said, tears in his eyes. I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen, I said. Every choice you made, every lie you told, every time you touched her while I waited at home for you thinking you loved me, it all happened. And now you have to face the consequences. What are you saying? He asked. I'm saying I want a divorce, I said. I've already contacted a lawyer. I took photos of every page of your journal, so don't bother hiding it or destroying it. It's all documented. Your affair, your lies, everything. Sarah, please, he said, standing up and moving toward me. Can't we talk about this? Can't we try to work through it? I stepped back. Work through it? I repeated. You want me to work through the fact that you're in love with my best friend, that you're having a baby with her, that you've been lying to me every single day for 8 months? No, David, there's nothing to work through. We're done. Where will you go? He asked. That's not your concern anymore, I said. I'll be staying with Amy while we figure out the divorce. I'll come by next week to get the rest of my things. Until then, don't contact me unless it's through my lawyer. I turned to leave and he grabbed my arm. Sarah, wait. Please, I love you. I still love you. I looked at his hand on my arm, then at his face. No, you don't, I said quietly. If you loved me, you never would have done this. Let go of me, David. He released my arm, and I walked out of our apartment for the last time as his wife. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyer meetings, paperwork, and difficult conversations. David tried to reach out several times, but I refused to speak to him directly. Everything went through our lawyers. Jessica tried to contact me too. Texts, phone calls, even a handwritten letter that she dropped off at Amy's house. I didn't respond to any of it. There was nothing left to say. My friends rallied around me. Once word got out about what had happened, everyone was shocked. Apparently, David and Jessica had done an excellent job of hiding their affair from everyone, not just me. But people were supportive. They checked in on me, invited me out, made sure I wasn't alone. The divorce process was surprisingly quick. Because I had documented evidence of the affair, and because David didn't contest anything, we were able to settle everything within 2 months. I got to keep most of our savings, since he'd been spending money on Jessica throughout the affair. He got the apartment, which I didn't want anymore anyway. Too many memories. I found out through mutual friends that Jessica had the baby in November. A girl. They named her Emma. David posted photos on social media, looking happy and proud. I had blocked him so I wouldn't have to see it anymore. I moved into my own place in May. A small 1-bedroom apartment in a different neighborhood, far away from the life I'd built with David. I decorated it exactly how I wanted. No compromises, no discussions, just me, making choices for myself. Work became my focus. I threw myself into my career and got that promotion I'd been working toward. Ironically, all those late nights that David had complained about in his journal, the ones that had supposedly driven him into Jessica's arms, had actually been building something real for me. I started therapy. I needed help processing the betrayal, learning to trust again, figuring out who I was as a single woman at 30 after planning to spend my life with someone who turned out to be a stranger. My therapist helped me understand that what happened wasn't my fault. That David's choice to cheat had nothing to do with me working late or being focused on my career. That those were just excuses he told himself to justify the unjustifiable. She also helped me see that the signs I'd missed weren't actually my failure. When you trust someone completely, you give them the benefit of the doubt. That's not naivety, that's love. And the fact that they abused that trust says everything about them and nothing about me. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into David at a coffee shop. The same coffee shop where this whole nightmare had started, where he'd first reconnected with Jessica. He was alone, looking tired. He saw me and hesitated, like he wasn't sure if he should say hello. I walked over to his table. "Hi, David," I said. "Sarah," he said, standing up awkwardly. "How are you?" "I'm good," I said honestly. "Really good, actually. How's Emma?" He looked surprised that I knew about the baby. "She's great. She's 5 months old now. She's perfect." "That's wonderful," I said, and I meant it. Whatever else had happened, that baby was innocent in all of this. "How's Jessica?" He looked down at his coffee. "We're not together anymore," he said quietly. I was genuinely shocked. "What happened?" "Turns out," he said with a bitter laugh, "when you build a relationship on lies and betrayal, it doesn't have a very solid foundation. We fought constantly. She didn't trust me, which I guess is fair since I cheated on my wife with her. I couldn't handle the pressure of being a new parent. We tried to make it work for Emma's sake, but it just fell apart." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. "Are you?" he asked, looking up at me. "Yes," I said. "Not because I want you back, but because Emma deserves parents who can at least be civil to each other. And because I know what it's like to have your life fall apart, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone." "I ruined everything," he said. "I had a wife who loved me, a good life, and I threw it all away for something that felt exciting but wasn't real. I think about that every day." "I hope you learn from it," I said. "I hope you become a better person for Emma's sake." "Do you hate me?" he asked. I thought about it for a moment. "No," I said finally. "I don't hate you. I don't love you either. I don't really feel anything for you anymore. You're just someone I used to know." He nodded slowly, and I could see that hurt him more than hatred would have. "Take care of yourself, David," I said, "and take care of Emma." I walked out of that coffee shop feeling lighter than I had in months, because it was true. I didn't hate him. I didn't waste any more energy on him at all. He was part of my past, and I was focused on my future. Now, at 31, my life looks nothing like I thought it would. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a best friend I've known since high school. But I have something else. I have myself back. I have my own apartment that I love. I have a career that's thriving. I have friends who proved their loyalty when it mattered most. I have a sister who dropped everything to be there for me. I have the knowledge that I can survive something that felt unsurvivable, and I have standards now. Real standards. I'll never again ignore red flags because I want to believe the best in someone. I'll never again sacrifice my own intuition for someone else's convenience. I'll never again accept less than I deserve. Do I want to find love again someday? Maybe. But only with someone who understands that love means honesty, loyalty, and respect. Someone who knows that hard times don't justify betrayal. Someone who communicates instead of hiding journals behind dressers. The journal. I kept it, actually. Not to torture myself, but as a reminder. A reminder that words on a page can destroy lives. A reminder that people aren't always who they seem. A reminder that I survived. Sometimes I take it out and flip through it. It doesn't hurt the way it used to. Now it just feels like someone else's story. Like something that happened to a different version of me. Because I am different now. Stronger, more careful, more aware, less willing to accept breadcrumbs when I deserve the whole loaf. If I could go back and tell myself one thing on that Saturday in March when I found the journal, it would be this. You're going to be okay. Better than okay. The life you thought you wanted wasn't real anyway. And the life you're going to build for yourself will be so much better than anything you could have imagined. To anyone listening to this who's been through something similar, who's had their trust shattered by the people they loved most, I want you to know that you're not alone. The betrayal isn't your fault. The lies aren't a reflection of your worth, and the pain, as unbearable as it feels right now, will fade. You will survive this. You will build a new life. You will learn to trust again, maybe not as blindly as before, but in a healthier, more balanced way. And one day, You'll look back and realize that the worst thing that ever happened to you was also the thing that set you free. Because I'm free now. Free from a marriage built on lies. Free from a friendship that was never real. Free from the version of myself who was so eager to believe the best in people that she ignored the truth staring her in the face. And that freedom, it's worth more than any perfect life I thought I had. My name is Sarah. I'm 31 years old, and I discovered my husband and best friend's affair through his hidden journal. It destroyed me, and then it rebuilt me into someone stronger than I ever thought I could be. And that's the real story. Not the betrayal, not the lies, not even the affair or the baby or the divorce. The real story is what happened after. The real story is how I survived, how I healed, how I learned to trust myself again. That's the story that matters.